The Bitcoin is almost a cool experiment too, where you could see if, you don't need the backing of an institution. Like, will people be their own kind of governance where you accept it? And of course, there'll be anomalies of people that, want to break the system and scam it. I mean, could it be a system where it's just accepted that it's not centralized, so it's less likely for that to happen? That's what's the kind of interesting thing to me. And the idea is like, if it's a good enough idea, maybe enough people will accept it and realize the benefits from it and not try to scam it. But on the other hand, it's just kind of human nature for people to find ways around rules. But is it any better than someone hacking Bank of America and stealing your credit card information? That's the question I pose to you, Ace.
Is there a chance that this could self-regulate and it can all flow smoothly and we can all reach a happy medium to where we buy and sell and make exchanges and transactions with bitcoins? I think we could, but do I think we will? No. And reason being is that, I mean, everywhere you look in the news now, you got all sorts of cyber hacks. You got huge companies like Home Depot, Target, just to name a couple. Even
Right.
JP Morgan, people are getting hacked just in their normal everyday bank accounts. So with something that is 100% online cryptocurrency, I think that it's going to be very difficult, especially in this day and age where everything's so digitalized, everything's run off technology, online, over the web. I think it's just going to be really tough. Some rules will try to be established, try to make this very efficient. I think you're going to have people that are breaking the rules and people that are just finding loopholes to where they can essentially steal and get an advantage over everybody else in this.
Yeah, because really the main question is a large institution like Bank of America more equipped to handle the security breaches than individuals that run this, economy, if the Bitcoin would be its own economy? Because that's like the main difference. Our currency is kind of digital in the respect of you have a bank account number, your checking and savings is just, in a database on probably a Bank of America server, and that's what's keeping track of it. The specific question to ask is, and this is what you're alluding to, is that Bank of America and these large institutions are more capable than a community of users to auto-regulate.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to. Even though I think that a big purpose of it is to sort of get around these institutions and avoid transactions or transaction fees and bank fees and not be regulated in that manner. I think that that is probably what's going to happen if it is something that is going to be more socially accepted.
Yeah, look at this is interesting. You have to have some heavy computational power to be mining, right? I mean, they're not going to make it easy. It's not just going to be 2 + 2 = 4. Oh, here's your Bitcoin. They are calculating because of the magnitude that you're running. I mean, I'm sure there's people now who are setting up these supercomputers, or a big thing now is like something called the FPGA boards, which are basically dedicated pieces of hardware to solve specific problems, and the amount of power that they take to run. That's very interesting that they tabulated the cost of that. And it's a little sensational because there is energy in terms of computer usage on banking websites and apps and things like that. They all have servers too. But that is kind of a curious take on it. I think people are taking this seriously. I mean, people are going down to analyze, every aspect of how it would run. And I think that's kind of interesting. That's an indication that there are at least people who see this as an alternative. I mean, maybe we'll have two forms of currency, two mainstream forms of currency, this Bitcoin
Mhm.
for people who want to use that, and, just the standard US dollar or whatever currency that's backed by government.
Now that you brought that up, the environmental costs and what it takes to formulate this, it's interesting to think that if it is something that continues and takes off, you probably have people that are specialized in it and jobs that are created in this field and in this specialization that can help drive this forward.
Yeah, when I was in college, I had some friends that were a part of a research group, and the professor, is trying to get a proposal to mine Bitcoins actually, and specifically the development with it was in these FPGA boards, and this is done in day trading now. Is literally people move their computers closer to where the transactions are because there could be a slight time delay physically because your computer is not there. There's electricity doesn't go places instantaneously. It takes some finite amount of time, and they literally have the servers right next to where the things are being traded. So there's no advantage to someone trading in California versus someone trading in New York. And they were finding in this day trading thing that literally they moved the computers closer to where it was happening because of the time delay associated with sending the data with a longer cable essentially. I mean, it's crazy to think like that, but it's fractions of seconds.
You should read the book Flash Boys by Michael Lewis. He pretty much broke all this out as far as on the trading side. I mean, companies were pretty much just fighting for space in the data centers, and who can move their server closer. And they were building their headquarters around these data centers and the routes of fiber.
You wouldn't think that that would come into effect, but we got to keep in mind that computers think so quickly, but it's not instantaneous. Like there's some limit to it, and the signals that are going across them is somewhat of a limitation in how fast the computers are thinking. And it's just wild. And I mean, to me personally, because I have an engineering background, it's incredible to think that these are the kind of new problems that we're going to be faced, or not problems, but these are, like you were saying, creating new jobs and new markets. There's going to be a whole new set to view these kind of things. If you strip away a computer, you take away, its operating system, which is what we're seeing now, this GUI, you can see this website. You can take all those things away and then build a machine, the hardware to just do certain things, like for instance, trade or, mine these Bitcoins.
It's fascinating to think about some of the things that are among us.